So the Olbers paradox can be sorted out very simple way if you make one assumption saying that our universe was not infinite but it was expanding. The dark energy requires something like a pressure which is negative. It cannot have a positive pressure. Okay. For instance, GPS is one of the classic examples of general relativity, because without GPS, you will not. Without general relativity, GPS will not work. Okay. But the symmetry, so the universe which we are living is not symmetrical.
So, Professor, coming to the next question, we were reading about why the speed of light is the ultimate, like why things can't go beyond that. So, some of the answers in the general theory of relativity were that we consider space and time, and then different velocity, different speeds in space and time, like it uh, compromises each other, and we have a constant that is speed of light, which is the maximum. So why is it that the speed of light is constant over there? Why not some other speed?
So
Or
okay.
why
So
we
the
can't
thing
go
is,
beyond
okay,
that?
okay, wait. Okay. So the thing is, so there is theory and there is experiment.
Hmm.
Okay. So the if you take the special theory of relativity, special theory of relativity tells you that there is some, if I have a speed which is supposed to be constant in all frames of observers, then it has come up with a theory. Now you never said c equal to 3.3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. Okay, that is coming from experiment.
Yeah.
The experiments, Michelson-Morley experiment showed that it doesn't matter where we do the in which frame we do the calculation. We always see that there is always speed is the speed of light comes out to be 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters. So that is how you fix it. So the constants are fixed by experiment. So ab initio, the Einstein theory never the special theory never tells you, Lorentz transformation never tells you that C should be 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters. It is approximately 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters. Okay. So the thing is, the theory tells you that there should be, if there is a ultimate speed in which all particles cannot go beyond this, then it gives you a framework in which you can do it. The C was never fixed to be. The theory never tells you that C should be this, but C is always fixed with respect to experiment. It's the same way how the Newton's constant is fixed with respect to torsion experiment. Fine. So even if you look at it, many of all the numbers, the constants of nature, like charge, the charge of an electron, everything is fixed with respect to experiment. The equations will never fix the number. The equations only gives you that this is how the framework to understand how these things work.
Yeah.
So there are two things to this. So there is always, for instance, if there is a website which you can check called the Particle Data Group. It's done by the particle physicists in different labs. They keep testing all these constants by different ways. They have devised new techniques as well. They keep testing under what limit these speeds are correct. They test it up to some accuracy. You can go and check the website. They have a PDF file which lists every year. They keep updating it. Okay, so the changes may be happening in the 13th decimal place, for instance. I'm just telling you, but they do check it. Okay, so there is a constant effort to test, is this true? Okay. So there is a ongoing every time, and they keep testing it. So for instance, roughly like 10 years back, I think there was a false alarm which said that neutrinos travel faster than the speed of light.
Yeah.
Okay. So of course it was a false alarm. People tested it and found that it was not true because there was some error in the experiment. There is Particle Data Group, PDG. It actually checks every year. Every year they release the data, but they collect it not just by one group, but several groups in the world are actually testing it in different ways. Okay. So what we are trying to do is that, so we never ask beyond a point in physics. We never ask. We ask a question. Okay, so this is what the nature tells us. Okay, so then we see why. We try to explain why this happens. Okay, so the next question is why it happens. What is the reason why C is 3 into 10 to the power of 8? It's a very difficult question to answer. because it is something which is beyond the purview of physics of testing. We test it and say, okay, this is what it is, and try to explain it. If we can come up with something which can explain it, that is even better.
Yeah.
So that is what many of the refined theories actually do. So, for instance, the quantum field theory, which is one of the testing theories, so it basically uses two constants, which is fundamental,
Yeah.
C and H cross. Constant speed of light and Planck's constant is used as a fundamental constant, and everything else it tries to cannot derive it, but it uses other constants as well.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it can get derived. Yes. So to answer your question, uh, so the special theory never puts the speed to be 3 into 10 to the power. It is the experiment which dictates saying that it has to be this value.
Okay. And why do we consider it to be the ultimate speed?
So that is what the experiments are telling us.
Okay.
It's again because of the experiments are telling us, and it seems to be consistent because that is it is able to explain many of the features. Everything we are able to see basically can be explained using these.
Fine.
So it also tells you that it is only the causal communication has to be at the speed of light. That is, I communicate with something else. Okay. It never prohibits saying that something faster than speed of light is not. We don't know if it is might be going. We don't know. But I can only communicate with it with respect to this. This is the fastest with this speed of light. Okay, that distinction is there.
And my next question would be like, there are many interesting things in space because it is much greater than us. For example, black holes. We can think of aliens and many other things. So that is what attracts many people to it. So what aspects of it did attract you, as maybe when you started studying this field? Like, what drew you towards it?
So so the reason why I started doing physics is basically because when I was in my school, then there was this something called a buckyball. I don't know whether you heard about it. 360.
Yeah.
There's a carbon 60 buckyball, which was basically became famous that time.
Yeah,
I think it was around that time when. So and then there was a lot of interest in it, and then so of course I was also fascinated with it, and then I realized that one has to understand. Then you need to know quantum mechanics. So that's what drove me to physics, so quantum mechanics primarily. So once I started understanding quantum mechanics, then I slowly went about and realized that the ultimate frontier, which then I started liking general relativity since I did on my own. So and then I realized that then I can learn. I can do something. I wanted to do something in gravity. I wanted to do something in gravity. I also like statistical mechanics. So I wanted to do something in gravity, statistical mechanics, and field theory. So that was these three pillars of what I wanted to do with. So I started doing something on field theory in Kurzgesagt and basically black holes. Then I slowly moved on to cosmology, and I do now both gravity as well as in cosmology. I do mostly theoretical and computational, but I think slowly I'm trying to learn what are the tests one has to do. So my basic aim the last few years have been to see what are the ways to test alternative theories of gravity. So if GR is not the right theory in all energy levels, then we are asking the following question: what is the theory which we have? If we have alternative theory, how do we test these alternative theories? What are the testing grounds to do? What are the new device one can devise? What are the ways to look at it? And that is what I'm actually looking at, and that is what is I find it very exciting for the next, because a lot of gravitational wave detectors which are coming up, and there are a lot of missions which are also coming up. So these are all helpful in testing the gravity in to the largest possible scale, which we have not able to do it till now. So it started with buckyball, and then it is now with the cosmology. So you don't know what is it's kind of you keep hitting here and there and whatever you find it, and then
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yes.
you talked about ki there is still a lot to learn right now, right? There is a lot of scope in learning cosmology, or you mentioned that you also have been learning new, like modified gravity and stuff like that. So I want to know that what are the limitations of physics right now, because after certain point of investigating or researching, we just end up stuck in a loop of why, and we stop getting any answers, and then just that spirituality or religion kicks in, and they just try to answer all the questions by some means. So what are your views on this?
Uh, okay, so let me just break this into two parts. So, so the question is, what is the uh, people call it as the edge of physics? Okay?
Yeah.
So, what is the edge which we are reaching? And then the question of when should what is when does it translate into spirituality, whatever, or metaphysics, if I want to call it. So, fine.
Mhm.
So, so, so the question um, is the following. So physics is driven by experiments. So okay, so there is a constant experiment with a theory which has to go hand in hand. So that is something which I really like. In the case of cosmology, for instance, the experiments are in a much more higher level than theory,
Mhm.
because we don't have a theory to explain many of the data. Okay,
Yeah.
so I am in that sense, cosmology is in that sense it's very exciting, because as a theorist, there are so many things which we have to understand and we don't understand.
Mhm.
Fine. So that's when you say that if there is a problem, if we have to explain many things in cosmology, and we don't have most of the things are unexplainable. Also, partly because the data is not very refined. There can be a lot of errors in the analysis. So, and many of these are mega science. So it's all very complex. Okay, but there are a lot of things which we don't understand. Many things are ununderstandable, or still we are trying to figure it out. Okay, many of the origins which we don't understand. In that sense, it's quite nice. For instance, the dark energy problem is one of the what is called the mystery of the millennium. They call it. It's pretty complicated. But a lot of people are coming up with theories, but it is still no. There is no real answer, a physics answer, which convinces everybody that, oh, this is true. Okay. So in that sense, I find it exciting, because that will tell me that okay. So, but the one, as soon as we have an understanding of it, so then the question is whether how good it is, something else. So those are the next question. Now the broad brush of trying to see what is dark energy itself is not clear. So in that sense,
Mm.
so okay, so it has to go hand in hand with experiments. So theory and experiments have to go hand in hand. So in the case of cosmology, I find it that cosmology experiments are in a much higher in a bigger hand, because they are trying to see, okay, these are the things which you should think about. And so
Mm.
before 1997, people thought that, oh, we have understood many things in cosmology, but then there is a full surprise came in, and now
Yeah.
last 20 years, a lot of effort is happening on that. Fine. So now, so the question is, we have to have a distinction of what is uh, physics and what is metaphysics. Okay?
Mm.
So, so in a field like mine, it is always a question, because I get a lot of emails about, oh, I have done this, I have done this, this can be explained using this and all this stuff. So of course I ignore many of the emails, but what I'm trying to tell is we have to explain it with it. It is not just explanation. You also have to see whether it is testable. It has
Hmm.
to. So there are two things to this, because one is the robustness of the prediction. The sense, if I make a if I say it, it has to be verified by not just me but by 10 people, 10 different people in 10 different settings. They should be able to explain it. Unless
Mm.
otherwise you explain it, I will not take anything serious. Okay, okay. Any event can happen. The chance is 50-50, for instance. Okay, if I toss a
Yeah.
coin, it will be 50-50. But I have
Yeah.
to know whether it happens repeatedly with the same precision, with the same effort. So unless otherwise people tell me, you can come up with hundreds of theories without anything. So I will
Mm.
not. I don't really worry about many of these things. Okay. So now the question is whether we have learned everything. In the sense, we have learned a lot of things. Of course, in the last 100 years to 150 years, we have made a lot of progress.
Mm.
Okay. But the thing is, the effects of it, of the what we now, there are twin pillars. One is GR, general relativity, and special relativity, general relativity, and quantum mechanics. We are only seeing the outcome that in the day-to-day life. It's only in the last 30 to 40 years we see it. Although many of these theories have been developed 100 years back, but we see the products as such which we are coming out is only the last 30, 40 years. For instance,
Yeah.
quantum computing is only now. For
Hmm.
instance, people are only talking about it now.
Hmm.
Now, lasers as an instrument which we are using in the daily life is the last 20 to 30 years. Fine. Okay. So all these are predictions of the physical theory. Okay.
Hmm.
So the effects which we see, which will take a long time for it to come out as a which every person can use it. Okay. So, but most of the mobiles, for instance, many of them have, everybody has another mobile, and all of the mobile has a GPS. Without, if you want to use GPS, and it has to be tested, and it can only be used without GR, it would have been a disaster. So please understand that if you don't use GR, actually when NASA sent it, and somebody suggested that no, one has to include general relativity effect, many of the NASA scientists actually thought that it was a joke.
Hmm.
But they soon realized within a day their error was 10 kilometers.
Oh.
Within a day, if you didn't include GR, okay, the error was 10 kilometers. Okay, so basically, okay, so what I'm trying to tell is that many of them will look exotic. Many of them will think that you will not be able to see these effects now. But all these is something which is what many people say that, oh, these are all exotic things which will not applicable anytime. But of course, it is all applicable. Okay. So, so who thought that GPS? Of course, as I mentioned, many people actually laughed initially. They said, no, GR should not be applicable. Need not be applicable. But GR is instrumental. Otherwise, your GPS is not going to give you precision, which is like I think the army GPS is supposed to be less than 1 meter, but at least in our case, it's close to 300 meters. Is a very high precision which you're getting. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing is, I don't worry about many of the people who talk about metaphysics, because I say okay, but you prove it to me that it's correct. I will take it. So I take that stand right now, because I also feel that it is difficult to convince anybody, because they have to realize themselves.
Yes.
Okay, though, see, it is not like in 40 years back where information was not available to anybody. Information is available to you. Wikipedia is available to everybody. Anybody in the world with a 2G to 3G internet connection, they should be able to see Wikipedia pages without a problem.
Yeah.
Right. Even with all this information, if they are ill-informed, then it is basically that they don't want to get informed by themselves. So I sometimes feel that it is basically, it is their chance to prove it. It is not my chance to go and look at it. That is what I would say. That is what I treat these. Okay.
So one more aspect to it is, like, when you study about distant objects, like which are much far away from you. For example, you're studying about a black hole, or the simple act of looking at the sky makes you feel very small. And there is that existential dread which is always associated with cosmology, that you are nothing, like you are very small as compared to the entire universe. So how do you deal with that, and have you made peace with that term? I'm sure it comes to you a lot, maybe when you're researching about these things.
Okay, so it depends on how your outlook is. So for instance, in cosmology and gravity, so you are actually trying to understand the nature. Many times in physics, we are actually trying to understand how the nature is behaving. Okay? So in that sense, we are not doing anything. We are trying to understand the nature. So in the sense, I am always a secondary person, secondary in this respect, right? I am not the person who's doing anything else. I am actually trying to to observe the nature. In that sense, I always treat myself to be a secondary object in the nature. So if I treat it like this, so then then it is then automatically there is a piece in this one that okay, you are just trying to understand how the nature works. So if you take that, then I think I'm at peace with myself. So no more anything else doesn't even creep in my mind beyond a point.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to tell is that I am always trying to understand the nature. I am not trying to question the nature beyond a point. I'm trying to see, okay, this is how the nature is. This is how the nature's behavior is. This is how the universe is behaving, and hence I am looking at it in that way. So if my domain or purview is in this direction, so I have nothing else to worry about. So I am not the person. It's basically the nature is superior. That's it.
That's a good way to look at it.
Okay, so you talked about nanophysics, sir. You talked about the use of physics. We are still trying to realize that general relativity was used in GPS. So how do you imagine the future? Like, how do you think the future will be regarding physics? Yeah, advancement in physics, with advancement in physics.
So okay, of course, that is predictions are always going to be wrong. People have made predictions; they're always go wrong. So I think currently what is the issue is twofold. Okay, so the advancement of physics hinges on the advancement of technology. So let me just explain this. So for instance, if you look at it till 1990s, the field of astronomy and cosmology were basically kind of saturated. The sense people were not able to build bigger telescopes because there was a problem in technological advancement in building a bigger and bigger telescope. There was that time the sizes were 2 meters, and then okay. So once there was a technological breakthrough in materials, so then they were able to bigger. Now we are talking about TMT, which is 10 kilometers, 10 meters distance. So then this bigger and bigger. Okay. So there is also, if you look at Chinese are trying to build even bigger ones. Okay. So it is the technology which is important. So there is always a hand in hand between science and technology. So as this technology develops, we will also try to probe much more deeper things in physics or deeper things in materials, and that can give us something even better things which can come up. Fine. So now so for instance, in the case of particle physics, people are trying to see whether they can use lasers to make bigger and bigger machines. That is something which has been going on for the last 10 years or so. I don't know what is the success right now, but hopefully there will be some success in the next 10 years or so. So then there will be a revolution which will come up there as well. So the technology is essential for science, but without science, the technology will not be able to. As I mentioned to you, without these physics concepts or many of the science concepts, you will not be able to have lasers, or you will not be able to make even MRI, for instance, requires an important feature, which is a quantum. Right? Yeah. So all these are essential. So okay, now so this is between technology and this, but we are having other societal or the sociological problems, like we are having global warming. So we need a technology for it. So all these are other compounded effects which has to be taken into consideration. Okay. So if there is a successful transitions in technologies which can help us in solving the global issues right now, for instance, global warming is an important issue. Water scarcity is another bigger issue which we are facing, right? Okay. So these are two main issues which has to be done, and then we will have immediate effects which will also be taken into account. So what I'm trying to tell is that always the science and technology goes to each other, which is important. But we are also in a different situation right now, because we are in a situation where there is the global warming seems to be an important Okay, as Elon Musk put it 2 days back, he will give $100 million to anybody who
Yeah.
can
Carbon footprint.
carbon cover. Yeah. So you understand. So the issues are there are a lot of things uh, which has to be dealt with also.
Hmm.
Okay. So I think there is a lot of research which is going on in all directions, which is important. So that then people will be able to make some progress. So I think we should be in the next 50 years should be exciting for science as well as for technology, because I think 5G is coming up soon. I heard. So let us see what
Yeah,
is
yeah.
5G is going to give us.
Yeah.
So it is
Yeah.
going to be exciting. So I feel that in the next 50 years is going to be an exciting period for science as well as for technology. I think
Yeah.
technology, uh, we should see what are the quantum technologies are going to come up, because quantum computation seems to be a big thing right now. So let us
Yeah.
see how much of it we can. See, this is what people talked about is the superconductors, right? Because people thought that high temperature superconductors will help us
Yeah, yeah.
in removing many of the problems, but that has not happened.
Hmm.
Okay, people are trying high temperature superconductors still, but then that is still not happened to the level which we are comfortable now that we can use it in the day-to-day life, right? So I think these are the things which are still which have to be. So that part is still missing. For instance, what happened in revolution happened in 80s, 90s about the high temperature superconductors. That has there was a lot of push. People thought that we are going to solve this problem of
Yeah.
transmission of this thing without we don't need resistance, so we can save a lot of power. But that has not happened. So that level of that is for instance the last 25 years that has not happened. What people thought will happen in 90s.
Hmm.
That is one thing which is still missing, I think. So that kind of technologies has to also translate. That is going to happen. I think that will happen soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
That is where I think it is useful.
And about some much more time like making colonies in Mars, moon, and intergalactic travels, etc. Like how far, or
I
should we
don't know.
approach that?
I see. I have no. Yeah. See, this is all. So the thing is, okay. So there are two things to this. Okay. So I'm not an expert in many of these things, but what I see is that these are it is like a nice stories which will help you in making
Yeah.
sure that you are reaching the target. Okay, at least some
Yeah.
target. So I will treat this as a as a story, but whether it will happen in my time scale, I don't know.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it see. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell is that it will happen, but I don't know whether it will happen in our time scale. For instance,
Hmm.
moving to going to making colonies in Mars
Yeah.
is something people are talking about, but I think that will not happen in the next. I don't know, maybe not in 50 years. I'm sure
Yeah.
because it requires a lot of sophistication.
Yeah.
We have to have a lot of things which has to be done in Mars itself,
Hmm.
right? So I don't know whether it's going to happen in the next 50 years, unless otherwise there is a drastic change in technology. But I don't know. What I'm trying to tell is that there is a lot of things which is not come from the physics side, which is basically for ITC, which has not actually translated into the technology, which has not happened yet completely,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
right? So that will be the next push. Also, which will happen. That will
Hmm.
revolutionize other things as well, like how these quantum technologies have revolutionized how we store memory, the hard disk memory, everything. That
Yeah.
is all primarily the quantum technology, which has happened, right? So the next set of things also have to happen. Okay, but so bars, I don't even know what is the time scale which we are talking about. But these are nice as I treat it as a for a students like you, that is going to be your goal, right? For many
Hmm.
of the people, for students, that would be like when I was a student, when I was excited about fluorines and I was excited about other things. So that is what is there. So for many of you, it will be the thing is like going to Mars is going to be the technological barrier. That is going to once we have it, then of course it's be interesting. But that will going to be take another 50 years. I'm not very sure whether it is going to happen. That is what I
Yeah.
would say. because we have to really do a lot of things. A lot of things have to be done because energy. See, even if you send the humans there, where will they get energy? Where will they have food? That's all going to be another
Yeah.
set of problems. They can't just keep having
Yes.
capsules every time, right? So yeah, so those kind of issues have to be there sorted out.
Yeah.
Also, one thing physics tells us is, I'm not sure about the number, maybe it's 4 to 5 billion years from now, that sun is going to die. It will run out of its hydrogen.
Fuel,
So,
yeah, that is what
yeah.
the theory tells. Yes, correct.
So we know that it has an expiry date, right? The solar system has an expiry date.
Mm,
So,
mm.
so we have to maybe start taking measures now, or like somehow, if human civilization uh, happens to exist till that point, like, should we think about traveling to another galaxy or something like that?
No, we people are
Is
trying
it
to find
possible?
in this own galaxy. People are trying to see other planets. So why can't I have
Yeah,
in the
in
same
our own
galaxy?
galaxy too.
In our own galaxy, yeah, but the point is, 5 billion years is too long time. Right? We are only looking
Yeah,
at 100 years to 150 years.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm not even thinking about it right now. So I think the next step is going to be Mars. This is what I think people are thinking about. I think once we
Mm-hmm.
have that to some control, then people will think about other things. But right now, I think most of the effort is going to be for Mars because any other thing is going to be even more really
Yeah,
not possible.
Yeah.
yeah.
We as
But
humans are
5 billion
not
is too
that
large a
bad.
time. Please
yeah,
understand.
yeah,
The Big
yeah, yeah,
Year itself here is for what? How many? 300,000 years in this planet.
yeah.
Humans itself is around 300,000,
Yeah.
roughly. I'm talking about. So yeah, so 5 billion is like huge time. So we don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. We have. I don't even comprehend what is going to happen in the next 50
Yeah.
years.